Hi guys, welcome to another video. Thanks for joining me. Today we are going to do, I think this one's called Fluttering Friends. I know he doesn't really kind of look like a butterfly, but he's white. And I kind of liked that in the yellow sun. So hopefully you've seen this picture before and you're excited to start painting with me today. This one's going to be a fun one as we start to ombre and mix. And I'm hoping my next one will look even better than this one. So yay, I'm so excited. All right, I'm going to switch things up on you and put the painting on this side today. Hopefully you can kind of stick with. Let's go over supplies. I have an 11 by 14 canvas today. Please feel free to use a paper bag or whatever you have at home. I also have the paints of teal, black, red, white, green, yellow, purple, and pink. It's a lot of paints we're going to be working with today. We're going to be working a lot with the white, turning all these colors into pastel colors as well. I already have my paint palette loaded with my colors, so if you need to stop and go ahead and load all your colors in there. Very similar to this, I have a little bit of white on the side, but we're actually going to take the white and insert it in our blue, purple, pink, and yellow and green later on as we go through. So if you just want to put all your colors on the palettes, the black and the red, and we'll get that started. I also am working with 2 jars of water today because I don't want to leave you hanging while I go rinse a jar out. So I brought an extra one, and I recommend that you have an extra one as well, unless you want to just pause the video and take your time. I know when I paint, I like to take my time, but I try not to take too much up of your time when making these videos, so that's why I have the 2 jars. I'm also, these are my four paint brushes I always work with. So I have a large flat, a medium flat, and a small flat brush. And I also have a rounded brush. So those are the 4 main brushes I will always use. If you are with me in any of my videos, just always have those ones on hand. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I think you can see that one enough. Yeah. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to scoot over a little actually because I really want to get into this painting and I feel like I might paint splatter. Let's start with our large flat brush. Go ahead and get that one wet. Pat dry it. And we're going to start with our yellow sun in the corner. If I remember right, I did not add white to this one, but let's go ahead and take a look. I think I might have added white. We can always add white later to make it more of a pastel-y color and just to kind of thicken that paint up. I'm just kind of doing a corner sun. I'm not even rounding it like the other side. I think for ombreing effect, I'll stick with this. If you feel like you want a circle sun, then go ahead and circle sun away. And now I'm going to rinse my brush. From here I am going to go ahead and use the back side of the brush as my stir stick. Take my white. And I'm going to go ahead and insert it into the pink, the purple, and the teal. So I'll go ahead and mix my pink. I'm going to grab another paper towel here and use this for wiping the end of my paintbrush. That way I don't have too big of a mess on my paper towel that I have down here by my jar of water for pat drying and wiping. And I just realized I didn't even put on any Easter music or Kids Bop for you this time. But that's okay. All right, we got those blended as well as can be. So our next color will be pink. So I'm just gonna dip in the pink. And it's okay if you get a little bit onto the yellow. That'll be sort of the ombre effect we want to add. I'll show you how to, excuse me, blend with just a water brush too. And we may have to go over these colors again. I'm pretty sure I did with the other one. Now the purple. Just kind of ran my brush through the pink there. That ombre is a little better than the yellow on pink, but that's okay. Here I'll show you that water brush effect right now. So with just kind of a wet brush coming back in through my hard lines on my sun and my pink. Just kind of going back and forth. And just note, if you do too many strokes, it will start to pull up your painting. You can always tell when you have too much water in your jar, it gets up into the handle part. So when you go to dry, sometimes you just need to pick up that napkin because your drips will run down your brush. So just be careful of that too. All right, now to start with our blue for the rest of the canvas. And maybe not the rest of. I did have, when painting these are always fun to kind of learn your quirks. And I don't think there'll be a problem if we just go all the way through, because we have a gray bunny. It's not just white, it's gray too. Kind of running the brush on the line of the purple and the blue. Make sure that your strokes go all the way through so you don't have those paint marks. I'm going to keep that kind of rounded look, so I'm just going to go through this again. Voila! I like it. Wasn't sure if I was going to like the sun going kind of sideways versus the round on this one. All right, rinse that brush out really good. And you could tell your water's probably already murky. I can tell I want some more purple before I switch waters. What I'm going to do is, after we're done with this, I'll switch to the other water to work on bunny grass and flower. So I am going to put a little more purple into this one. Perfect. as perfect can be. And you may find that you want to do more after it's dry too, and that's okay. Put another coat on the sun, bring that through to the pink. I like that it kind of does that orange effect. Okay, from here I'm going to hair dry the background now. Remember to keep it on low warm. Remember not to hold it too close to the paint for an extended period of time. You don't want your paint to bubble. Some of the thicker areas you can come in and hold it down there for just a few seconds, nice and close. If you have a cool button on your hair dryer, you can alternate between that as well. Oh yeah, you can definitely see brush strokes a lot more, but I like it because it shows which direction it's going. So for now I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to nitpick my type A personality. I'm going to shut it down and roll with the flow. Does anybody else have a type A personality that's a painter? It can be frustrating at times. Okay, let's go ahead and start. Oh, I forgot to mention one of the supplies that we needed was a piece of chalk. Pause it quick if you don't have your chalk. Okay, so with your chalk, hopefully, I think that was in the description of supplies needed. Okay, so from here I kind of want the bunny nose up in between the sun and the pink. So I'm going to draw almost like this arrowhead figure, a wide, almost triangle, a not full triangle yet. And that's just for his face and nose. And then off that triangle, I want to come out with an ear. And then I need another one. Oh, that was a big ear. I think that might be too big. I'll just do a smaller ear underneath. Okay, and that's going to go to the same ending point. I have paint stuck on my chalk. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we'll leave the big fluffy ears. So from so we did our ears. So from at the end of our face up here by the beginning of the ear, we're going to swerve it down and swerve it out. So this will be his arm. And we can actually go ahead, well, yeah, you can go ahead and draw that if you'd like. I haven't figured out. I'm going to just stop there because what I would like to do is finish the bunny's body, which will come all the way down as well, and then his back leg, which will also come down a little more. Now see how I've already met the ground, but I haven't done my grass. So this kind of gives me some proportion on what I need to kind of do my magic eraser on. I think I'm going to redraw him. I'm going to blow on that, pat dry that. You don't want chalk paint. Or regular paint coming up onto your canvas. Be careful when rubbing. Okay. So I just kind of had him come down. I'm going to make this the arm now. Now remember, these are going to be guidelines. You are not, you're not addicted. You're not committed to these lines. Okay, so I have his arm, so I swooped down and I made his arm. And then I came up into the body to make his other arm, and about even. So then I'm going to come to the bottom of the bunny face, and I kind of want to bulge out a little for a neck, not much, and then I need a shoulder swoop down into this arm. So it's kind of like he's reaching up, so to speak. So from there, I'm going to take and I'm going to draw the rest of his body, just nice and thin, and then his little leg. And I may even shorten that up a smidge because I want to have some grass. And then from here, I can hump over to the body. I didn't want that line that thin. I'm going to have it come out and then come out one more. I feel like this one should be a little bit more smooth. Maybe not as thick as I wanted. Let's see how that comes out. That looks a little funny to me right now. I may switch that up. So from here, basically the bottom of your bunny feet, I'm starting to get the proportion of the bunny now, so pardon me while I draw for a second. Hopefully you're not struggling with the bunny as hard as I am. So from here, I'm going to draw my grass. And I'm thinking my grass might be a little too tall because I want to be able to see his belly a little. So I'm going to redraw my grass structure, hump I want to say, but I don't. Hill. My grass hill. Go ahead and bring this side down. He just looks kind of funny to me, and I'm not sure if I'm digging his style yet. So I'm just kind of toying with my chalk. This is what happens sometimes. Hopefully you all can bear with me. I'm thinking maybe I should have done this one thinner. I'm going to get my brush a little more wet so I can erase the thicker chalk lines I have. Try to draw as light as you can with the chalk. That'll help out. Some days are good drawing days for me and some days are not. We'll just roll with it. Perfect, like it, leave it. And he's a little more on this side of the grass nowadays, but that's okay. That is a-okay. We could even make the flower come out over here if we really wanted to, which I think is what's going to happen. And that's okay too. That is a-okay too. All right, so we have the bunny outline. So what we're going to do now, I'll put my chalk down. I'm going to put it up here. We are going to go for our medium brush. And then on our palette, we should have black and white separately. And then what I think I'm going to do is mix a lot of white to a smidge of black for the gray. And you may need a couple. I'm just going to scoop what I have in my palette into the white that I have here. Just a smidge of black goes a long way. And then that way you can gauge what type of gray that you've got going on. Super light versus super dark. And then you can always add from there. If it's too dark, add more white. If it's too light, just dip the end of the brush into the paint and just start mixing again. I have this really nice soft gray I'm gonna keep. And I will wipe this one. So you're gonna alternate between the white and the gray. I'm gonna put a little more white into my palette. I know I used a lot of this when I painted it originally. Okay, so you have your medium brush. Hopefully you got it wet. You can now change waters if you'd like. I'm gonna paint the top bunny ear white and then incorporate my gray. So let's go ahead and just paint. At this point, we're painting the whole bunny white. Actually gray, but what I'd like to do is paint him white and then add the gray accents. That way it looks like shadowing as well. I think also making the bunny partially gray after you paint it white too really helps kind of cover those colored layers that are going to be underneath. This bottom ear will be all gray with white accents. So you can just come in here and just start painting. Bye-bye guidelines. It really doesn't matter which way your swishes go on the bunny, because once we add that detailed gray, or that gray white, it'll just look more like a smoky bunny, which wouldn't, like a smoke colored, and that wouldn't matter for the paint strokes. All right. Now I'm going to take, my brush still is white, I'm not going to rinse it. I'm resisting the urge to rinse my brush. I like to rinse my brush constantly, all the time. It's just a habit. And sometimes it's not always the best. Okay, so his under ear is all gray. And then let's add a smidge of gray. So you can kind of envision, I'm going to flatten my brush bristles here and kind of imagine from here to here is going to be more gray than not, but not as gray as the bottom ear, if that makes sense. So I'm just adding another darker color. I'm adding more gray to the under ear real quick here so I can show you the difference. So I just put a little bit of white on the tip, and I'm going to smash my bristles from side to side just so that little bit of gray comes out from my brush. You want just the accent of it. And that'll be the same with inside the bunny too, but less, because I have less gray, now it won't be as much as the accent. I kind of made that guideline for me. It'll eventually be a darker gray too. Okay, I'm adding darker gray to the bottom ear now. I'm doing this to just kind of test the gray colors. I don't want to just jump right in. I did do a super dark gray, and it looks like I may even need just the corner over here just to be a little bit darker gray. Because I think I want the under ear here to be this color gray. So I just grabbed my normal gray, not the one I just mixed. Because the one I just mixed, I actually want to incorporate the darker gray down here a little more. Perfect. And I'm going to dip my bristles in the white one more time and come up here and just kind of let loose any gray that I have in my brush. If you have a lot of gray, just be careful. Maybe don't do that move. I'm going to add more white to this because it's looking an awful lot like the shaded ear. So this is just a time to toy around and play. Play with your colors. Do you now see how having the kind of gray bunny really hides that color from underneath? So now I'm going to take what's in my brush and start to do the bunny as well. We'll probably need a few coats on this bunny, just to give you a heads up. There's a lot of color underneath him. I'm going to do white and light gray and just brush it all in. Be careful around your edges. You can alternate it too by doing white and then like paint your bunny white and then go back over it again with gray. You want smudges of gray and white throughout your whole bunny. So just make sure that you're getting that trying to think of the word. I don't know if you notice, I struggle a lot with words, and that's because I deal with MS. So a little a little fun insight about me that you might not have known. So if I do things a little quirky or slow, you know why. Just trying to get it down. Okay, I may run a hairdryer through this because the more strokes I'm doing, the more I'm pulling up the first layer of paint, which is our background. So I just want to make sure that's good and dry before I add too much more. And then we want to start coming in and adding the details, the fine lines of the ears, the arms, the legs, and the toes. So go ahead and rinse your brush up good. And we'll throw a quick dry on the bunny. I think that's pretty dry. It's a little wet, I can see. I can tell by the shimmer that happens there. See if I can get rid of some chalk lines. They do drive me nuts at times. All right, so while that's still drying, I'm going to get my small flat brush and I'm going to start to outline the legs, the arms. I think I'm going to leave the ear alone. I like the definition on the ear. If yours is dry enough, you can go ahead and start to do another layer of white on your bunny. So I'm going to start with the arm first. So I'm going to come around here and just kind of, I may even take my chalk and just try to outline another little hand. White chalk doesn't work as well if you're trying to see. So I'm going to bring the hand around and over. I don't know if you can see that yellow chalk line, probably not. And then I'm going to bring the arm up taller, the one like over here. I've got like this little scratch in my chalk that's not allowing me to dry. So I believe it goes up. So this is the line. This is the shoulder of the bunny, so if you can have that come in and around, that'll give you a guideline of his other little paw or arm. I'm going to dip here. Kind of get rid of that other. The downfall about the yellow chalk is it will leave the yellow behind. So make sure you paint over that well. Perfect. Okay. And then from there, I know I have another, you can do water lines too. I figured this one out yesterday. You can do water lines down to kind of show you where the legs will be too, instead of using chalk. Like the yellow chalk that leaves all the madness behind. Back to my small flat brush. I'm going to take that darker gray that I'd mixed up, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to start probably about up to the back of the head and just outline that arm. Now this is okay, so if you mess up the arm, it's great because then you can just come back in with your white and your light gray, and then I just start blending. I kind of blend those lines, and the more you work your bristle over that darker line that you just painted, the more it works in with your shading. So like I want to pick up more white because I'm picking up the dark gray. And just kind of work it back and forth. And this is where I take and just kind of scrape it for the shading. Kind of want to, as you can tell, it's just shaded down the arm darker. And if your paint dries, that's okay too. You can just kind of massage it and work it in. So I'm not digging my hand. I need to fix that up. I know it's pretty dry. Get that wet paint back on it. Kind of get rid of it. Just going to kind of scratch that line out that I painted the best I can. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. This is just where it's all play from here. Just trying to mix and get that bunny just right. So I actually wanted his hand to come around a little better. I think it's the same lines I worked with, but that's okay. Any extra paint or gray, just go ahead and find an area on your bunny and get rid of that. I'm going to come in, I think I'm going to do the lighter gray this time. Knowing that that's his shoulder, I'm going to make my line just a little different. I'm going to take it from the shoulder. So now I have the outline of my arm. Just taking some more white and light gray at this point. Ooh, not so much light gray. We want the shadowing of the arm to be more predominant here. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why I'm not feeling his arm. I'm going to come down here and just kind of re-blend it. This first arm we did. We'll get it down eventually. I'm thinking, just for fun. Yeah, maybe that one was too big. Ah! Okay, I'm going to come in with gray. Sorry guys, struggling with my arms a little bit. All right, I'm going to take that gray and come in into his legs as well. So I know one leg is this way. And then I've got this leg that goes this way. And then his feet, I need to make a little bigger. These are just guidelines here I'm kind of painting, but I still want them to be, there. Outline the back leg a little bit. This one I kind of just want some shading. So I'll take more of the white, just kind of come in here. Kind of just blending that line I did. So with adding the darker gray for the outlines and then coming back in with white, I'm just shading that area. And then I'll do the same with this side. It's just a darker colored gray. Left with a smidgen of a line. We'll smidge that and we'll get some more white. We'll smidge some white into here. Just kind of barely showing some outlines. Rinse my brush. Come in with some white back behind here. And as it dries and you put the white over, it kind of will pull through as well. I'm not really focused on keeping those lines. I just need them to shadow. If you feel you need to size up in your brush too, go ahead and do that. I know, I feel like I need to. Oh, no more gray. White. This one's all dry, so it will come out more white than where we were before. Hopefully you're kind of starting to feel the blending and how that's working out. Well, it looks like I need to go with my original arm lines because I didn't blend those quick enough. And that's okay. I'm going to work with what I got. Excuse me. You'll have a lot of, I'm doing a lot of dry brushing once there's no more paint and it's not as liquidy. It starts to become a dry brush effect. So with a little bit of white and a little gray, I'm going to come back up here, work on that ear. Okay, I'm going to dip into the darker gray, and that was the wrong ear, but that's okay. I'll just dip in more white. Now I'll dip into the darker gray and bring it down here. It's cool if you have some white still in your brush that you can just kind of go back and forth. And you can pull some of that lighter into the darker, kind of give it this cool effect, shadowing effect. I left partial dark on my bunny ear because I wanted to come back in with the white. I wanted the more white gray look here. All right. Hopefully everybody's doing well on their bunny. I am going to come back in now with my small flat brush and just kind of reiterate those dark lines. I'm going to use the dark gray. Just make them really fine lines. And if it happens to skip or miss out on paint, that works too. It's just to give the effect of the arm. All right. Then I'm going to come back in and do the legs as well because that shadowing's there now. 1, 2. Kind of dip it in the light gray too. Maybe I don't want it as dark. I'm just going to come in here and do that leg. And then I'm going to do the tops of the feet. All right. That'll work for now. Let's put in some grass while that dries up a little more. Let's switch to our medium-sized brush. We're going to need to do the grass blades, so we're going to do them both in the light and dark green. So if you want to start with the light green, which means that we're going to have to add a little bit of white in the corner here of my green, or a lot of it. I'm only just going to mix partial because I still want to be able to access some of that dark green. Okay, I smashed my bristles so they're nice and tight, and then from here just doing my grass marks. And similar to our other bunny in a pot, we can actually just take the dark green and go across the bottom here. Because we know all that is going to be filled in with grass color anyway. So let's save a lot of steps here and already paint it, and then just come back and add those grass slits through there. That way we don't have to worry as much. I am going to go ahead and paint them over the bunny foot as well. Get nice and close to the bunny here. And just continue my grass blades. Don't scrape too much, the blue will come through. Dip again in dark green if you have to. I'm going to dip in light green, start adding that. Alright, we met up with there. I'm just going to come down here, make sure there's good solid colors there. Alright, we'll leave that, go ahead and rinse. We're going to do a couple things on the grass, but for now, let's see if we can get back to our bunny. I am going to I think dip into that dark gray I had again. I'm just going to outline this bunny ear that I had. The first top bunny ear, just kind of give it some more dimension. And then I want those bristles tight again, so I'm going to rinse it. I'm going to use this smaller flathead brush. Come in with the dark gray. And then I want to add the bunny's little paws. Okay, with that dark gray on your brush, you can dip just a smidge of white. And here we're just going to add some more accents to the arms, the darker gray. kind of did that. And now we're going to do it again. I feel like I have a lot of dark gray there. I think I'm going to come back in with some white, lighten it up just a smidge. I'm going to come back in with a wet brush now, no paint. Light blot and really start to blend all that mixed gray together. That way there's no brush strokes left behind, and even if there is, it'll kind of give it that cool shading effect. Okay. And now we kind of want the shading going back up the arm, so I'm going to dip it back in the dark gray. If you already have this from the first time, because I was procrastinating there, I didn't like my arm. So if you already have that, good for you. Fast forward if you'd like, if you haven't already. Okay. Ooh, found some dark gray there. Flip my brush around. Surprise! And then a little more around his feet. Ah, green paint. Coming in down here, a little more dark gray. Dry brush effect going on over here. Getting my brush bristles wet. That was too wet. I'll leave that. I'm going to come over here and do some darker shading. Come up by the grass. You can stand your brush tall and just kind of swipe up from there. And kind of curve it and swipe down around over here. And we got the darker shading up in there. I'm going to do a little more right in here. Got it up the arms. I'm going to stop shading because I'm going crazy over here. Crazy shading. Okay, so ears look good. Let's pause here. Oh, speaking of pause, let's get that last paw line on his actual paws down here by his feet. So that dark gray again. We're going to add those paws in there. Okay. Let's see, is that green dry enough? Let's go ahead and with our medium flathead brush, let's go with our light green again and come back through and make grass strokes on top of our dark. So now we're doing the light on top of the dark for the grass. So when you get underneath the bunny, what I'd like you to do is leave a little more of the dark grass showing through your grass blade strokes. This is going to give the effect of the shadowing. So lots of light green on the sides through the grass, and then right when you get underneath the bunny, just start stripping it so it leaves a shadow. Effect. And crisscross your blades of grass. Okay, I'm going to pick it up and kind of look at it far away because sometimes you just need that extra eye to see. I know I'm kind of getting a glare with the light and my glasses. So do what you gotta do. I'm going to do it again. That'll work for now. Okay, I'm going to rinse. We'll come back to that. We are going to take our round brush and you're going to dip it in the black. Get it wet first if you'd like. Okay, just dip the tip of the bristles in, and then from here, half of the nose is going to be off his face, and then the other half will be on his face. And then we'll just color that one in. And then we'll move to the eye, so literally from the nose, just come right down, maybe an inch, and draw your circle for the eye and fill it in. We'll come back and do another layer as well. And then just the tip of the brush, and we're going to add some of those 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Those little whisker marks. Yay, he's starting to become a bunny now. Looking good. Okay, rinse. And then from here, this is where you can toy with some stuff. I know that I need to put my flower on the other side. So now I have to, I do or I don't. I'm gonna toy with how I want things to look. I do know I need a line in between his arms. And then with that, I think I can still come up and do my flower over here. Because if I do it over here, either way, I've got his ears in the way. So I'll continue with the flower going the same direction. So with your round brush, go ahead and dip it into the green. And we're going to put a little tail coming out of his left arm. Imagine that line running through his hand, and then put another one through both hands. And then imagine that line still going through, and now you're going to curve it up. And there you have your stem to your rose. If you'd like, you can go ahead and start to make the rose stem a little more detailed. I didn't go too thick with the stem that was in between. I am going thicker than the first time though. It's always funny when you paint it the first time and then you want to go back and tweak it for the second time. And you can feel free to paint it all in, because we're going to come back in with light green anyway and kind of put a little texture, dimension into the stem. And we'll need a couple coats on that as well. So I kind of thinned the stem out as I continue detailing the stem. All right. Rinse for now. We can come back in and do another coat of black. For his eyes and his nose. From here, I'm going to take the white and I'm going to work on the little butterfly moth guy. So I'll make a big wing and a smaller wing. And then I'll just kind of paint that in. Going to paint a line down from one end to the other, and that'll be my line for when I paint the little black body of our bug, our fluttering friend. I don't want to leave these funny paint marks, so I'm just kind of going back over. I am going to do a second coat anyway. Okay, rinse. At this point I'm going to go back to my black and kind of draw that body on our bug friend. A little bit of paint. You don't want to do too terribly much. There we go. All right, let's move to the rose. My not so rose. I kind of messed up on this one over here, and it didn't turn out the way I liked it. But I rolled with it. So you can do waterline or chalk. I think I'm going to try chalk. And I want this to be a little bit longer so it looks more like a rose. Is that better? Maybe not, maybe. More tulipy. I got tall and skinny and I got short and stubby over here. For here, I would start with your round brush again. Dip it in the red and just go ahead and outline your chalk lines. You're not going to obviously be detailing that line of the rose that goes down into the petal, because that'll all be red together. And it's okay if the stem is not completely touching your flower yet, because you don't want to mix the colors quite, well, you don't want to mix them, period. I was going to say quite yet. And then just push that paint around so you don't really have these paint lines. There should be lots of paint there. We're gonna do another coat for sure. Probably I'll come back in with my small flat brush, because painting with this small round brush on the inside of this flower just it's not as friendly. It's nice to get into those detail spots, but to actually paint a whole flower with it, if you're still painting with it like I am, it's not the easiest. Okay. Yay! Looking good. Okay, I want to come back to the grass, so I'm going to use my medium flat. And I want to come back in with my dark green underneath the bunny and just make it a little more almost rounded. So when I do my grass under the bunny, I'm just going to do this rounded grass that's dark green underneath him. I really want that shadowing in the grass to be predominant. If you're okay with no shadowing, go ahead and fast forward through this video. Maybe you're done. Shoot me some pictures. I'd love to see. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of dark grass all the way up and through. Just up and through the area that I'm painting, not the whole grass. It's surprisingly quiet in my house to do this video, considering I've got 2 kids and a dog at home. I don't always get this luxury of a quiet house while painting. So this is just a stage 1 of the shadowing too. We are going to come back through and do some more lines of the light green. But let's get back to our flower and our fluttering friend. I know my Fluttering Friend could use another coat of white. So I'll come in. I'm still on my medium-sized flat brush, which you can do if you'd like. I'm managing for it to work, so hopefully you can too. A lot of it's me just being lazy and thinking I can do it. All right, so we got that. Rinse. Flour's still drying. You can always throw a hair dryer on it if it's not working out. I'm gonna come back in and do the stem. So still with my medium flat, just going over my stem line with the dark green paint. And I opened up the stem to make it more centered to my flower because I noticed that that was not happening there. Coming back in and putting more dark green here as well. And down there at the bottom. Looking good. Okay, another rinse. My napkin's saturated. I'm going to come in with my smaller flat brush and hit the light green for my stem. And we're just going to do the top of the stem at the end, the light green. Just to give some dimension. Oh, and we didn't do a stem or a leaf yet. So go ahead, and if you haven't, go ahead and put your leaf somewhere in here. You can do dark or light green. Or a blend if you want to. I just did the blend. Alright, a little leaf. Now I'm going to come back in with my medium flat and get back to the grass again with the light green. And just add some more light green strokes. You don't have to go in that humpy position, the upside down or just the half circle. And you can just show a lot of grass through this one, but just blend up that dark. All right, picking it up, looking at it far away. I'm satisfied with that. Okay, perfect. All right, all that's left to do is put another coat on the leaf of the flower, possibly another coat on the flower as well. Being daring and using my medium-sized flathead brush to do my second coat. So to get some definition, some textures, detailed work into your flower, I mixed a little black and red. I did not mix white and red because that will make pink, but I did take the white on our example here and I just brushed in through the petals. If you care to do that, you can do it both with the black and red for shading and the white and red for definition. So I'm going to take a little black, just the tip of my brush, and lots of red. Definitely want a lot of red to a little black, and just make that dark red consistency in your palette here. Dark red color. Not so dark that it looks black though. You still want that red to pull through. And then from here, just kind of round down. On the other side, round and then stop once you get to, so the left side of the petal, I've rounded down into the flower, and then the right petal I stopped right where the left petal was going all the way down. And I did that in the black. And you can kind of swish some of that black around the bottom, the base, for some shadowing. Come around and get the base of the petals underneath for darker. I like it, nice rich color flower. All right, one more coat here on the leaf of the flower. You can also slide in some of that light color on your petal as well. I wasn't as slick with fading it into the leaf as I wanted to be on my example. And hopefully I'm a little better on my painting with you guys. All right, awesome. Well, I think this concludes our painting, my friends. I want to thank you so much for joining me on the YouTube channel. And you can check out harborkidscanvas.com, and you can also check out Harbor Kids Canvas on Facebook. I hope to be uploading a few more videos this weekend, some extra painting projects for you. Not so much guided painting, but just painting projects that I think the littles will really like. I do have, if I don't get to it right away, I apologize. I'm in the middle of doing kits for birthday parties and just kits for kids to do during our quarantine time. So if you're interested in any of those, go ahead and shoot me a message. I would love to chit chat with you about that. And I hope you love your Fluttering Friend bunny painting. And we will see you soon. Bye, guys.